Hello there, Surf17 once again. This is my Bloodborne The Old Hunters DLC walkthrough. This is part 3. It will be Maria, the Fishing Hamlet, and the Orphan of Kos. So enter into this fantastic looking arena, walk up to the plain looking doll, and then get a surprise. So this is sweet Lady Maria. She is a beast. The only thing to be afraid of in this fight is just how goddamn good this lady is at timing you, spacing you, and getting that really slow hit that does massive damage. Everything in this fight, to me, is pretty spot on, except for in the third phase, she gets some bullshit phantom range on her hits, but aside from that, I absolutely adore this encounter. And my strategy is very simple. I'm going to stun lock her into giving her an opportunity to attack me, and then I'm going to frame trap her with a parry. It's that simple. You don't know what move she's going to do, so in a lot of ways it comes down to understandings of the fight and a little bit of luck. Or if you get a pattern you can sight parry, you're okay. But for these moments, I am just literally doing 3 hits and then pressing shoot. And she's just falling into my frame trap beautifully. And then whenever she does the charge up, I'm getting out of the range, I'm getting a few hits. I even break my weapon on her. So my weapons, they're actually at risk at this moment. They're not quite broken, and then I know she's going to do a quick attack, so I bait it, and I get the parry, and unfortunately Maria got put down in like a minute and a half, which... I love that fight, because it's my favourite kind of fight. It's like the Gascoigne fight, you know, it's like what Reiterpallasch should be, only that one is fucking horrible. It's like the German fight. It is a fight where it's 2 people very equal, and I find those to be amazing. And it really saddens me that the specific bosses they chose to put in the Chalice dungeons. Like, they put Rom in the fucking Chalice dungeons, but they don't put Gascoigne in. You know? Like, what about German? I'd love to be able to fight German without ending the game, but no. I get to fight Rom in a tiny room. Yay! Absolutely mind-boggling.
So our forefathers sinned. We hunters cannot bear their weight forever. It just isn't fair. Nothing changes. Such is the nature of man.
I was thinking the other day as well, can you imagine if the boss rooms in the Chalice dungeons were the arena where you fight Rom? Wouldn't that be fantastic? The one environment that is essentially an infinite scrolling level, you fight the douchiest boss. Just think about it, if you fought Lawrence in that room where you fight Rom, his last phase would be no problem whatsoever, because you could just space it, bait the breath, and get the fuck out of there. And he could never catch you. You could snipe him with the cannon, you know? You could do all kinds of fun shit. You would never get into that position where you're up against a wall and the camera's up your ass and you just don't know what's happening. It would never happen. But that's when you realise one facet of the developers and how they balance difficulty in these games. One of the biggest difficulties of any Soul game or Bloodborne is the environment. The place you fight things has been meticulously thought about, and a lot of the times it's to give the player a disadvantage. In some areas it's probably different, but that is half the difficulty a lot of the time. Like, look at Gascoigne. Those gravestones that you clip on are a nightmare. They work both ways though. They enable you to hit him in spaces where he can get stuck, but they also get you stuck when you try to avoid them. All of that has been intentionally designed to make the player have to know their environment and navigate it correctly, because if you don't, you're going to die. And it's the same with Lawrence, it's the same with Rom to a lesser extent. It's just, here's a fucking shit boss, here's a massive environment to make up for how shit this boss is. And they kind of just threw him away. Oh, this is me showing you now just how powerful the blue elixirs are. These 2 blue elixirs are going to get me both the shortcut and to the next lantern without having to kill anybody. Remember how much of a trouble I had with this big dude up here and that magic spewing douchebag? They don't even see me. Straight up. And I've just hit that lantern in, what, 40 seconds? If that is not the most powerful thing in the game, I don't know what is. Absolutely beautiful shortcut to skip a potentially terrible environment if you're having trouble there. It's very long, lots of enemies. And of course, there is Simon on the floor if you want to get his weapon. If you want to get his weapon earlier, you can kill him. but a subscriber of mine mentioned you have to be real good on your parries because he's pretty tricky. Ooh, the bell. The bell means Brador is going to invade. So here he is with his bloodletter. Be careful, because this guy will drink a lead elixir, and it means that you cannot stunlock him. There it was, he drank it then. So you see how it makes me bounce off? It denies him the ability to move quickly, but it also gives him insane poise power armor. If you want to avoid that guy and his entire situation, talk to Simon, get the key to his cell, warp back to the room full of corpses, go to the cell, open it, and kill him. When you kill Brador, before you come into this area, instead of him invading, you'll just have his loot everywhere. And you can pick up every single piece of his equipment without even fighting him. However, he will not invade you because he's dead. So if you want to farm his invasions for some quick and easy souls, you can't do that anymore. So, you know, be careful is probably the mantra there. It's at your leisure what you choose to do. I'm just going to show you quickly here how to open up another shortcut that allows us to navigate directly from the lighthouse into the dig site that is this pretty interesting aspect of this coastal fishing hamlet. Ooh, and the lightning guy too. If he hits you with that lightning, it does mad damage. He will one-shot me on this build. I know that because he did it to me on the ladder. Technically, I think as I was climbing off the ladder, but I still count it as a ladder death because I find them to be quite funny. Or do not bother farming these enemies either. Don't even waste your fucking time. It's hilarious, dude. There is a bug in the DLC that has not been addressed, even though this has been out since, what, the end of November? Where the gems that the enemies drop don't go in your inventory. I don't know why that is. It's very bizarre. I'm not too sure if it affects these guys too much, but it affects the dudes who look like Omanite, those crazy shell enemies. They do not give you the Fool's Gems or the Poor Man's Gems. So do not even bother farming these enemies because it's pointless. They give you tier 6 Fool's Gems, which is one of the most powerful blood gems in the game, but they never turn up in your inventory so you can never equip them. It's the ultimate fucking bullshit. And it frustrates me beyond belief because I did it for about 2 hours before I realised, yo Chris, this is not working. There is a problem with this game. And then I looked online to see what people were saying, and lo and behold, it's a known fault, and it's not fixed yet. So please, From Software, please, Sony, whoever's in charge, this needs to change, dude. It's not fair. It's not fair on the player at all. Like, people have farmed that stupid fucking Chalice dungeon for hours, for days, to try and get those really good Poor Man Gems, or Fool's Gems. And then you populate a creature in the DLC that has them, and they're easy to farm. It's like Christmas. And then it turns out Santa doesn't exist, like fucking Jesus hates you, and, you know, you smell. It's awful. It's like the worst. But that's how it works, guys. Like, you can't even farm the Winter Lanterns, because the Winter Lanterns in this area drop really good gems. They drop tier 6 cursed gems, but they don't go in your inventory. And it's this thing of, I have a big issue with the Chalice dungeons. I think the idea was great, but I think the delivery was poor. And I don't want to have to get to fucking Thumerian Ihil, or whatever you call that last one, what you have to farm for the cursed gems, because it takes too long to do. So if I want to get really good gems, I have to do every single Thumerian dungeon, and then get all the resources to do the last one. And it's just not fun. And that's my issue. It isn't fun. However, this DLC gave me a breath of fresh air because it gave me the opportunity to get these high-end gems without going near the Chalice dungeons, which to me is priceless. And then it doesn't work. And I don't know if they've been tweeted directly, I don't know if they're aware of this. One would hope they're aware of it because it's such a big thing.
I need you to do something.
Like, they patched the DLC very quickly because people were getting to it for free. They patched that in a fucking heartbeat. But they won't patch the thing that affects the people who bought the bloody thing. Like, come on guys, this is not fair. And all I'm asking is, fix your game. You know, I love your game, I've bought your game, I've invested time in your game. Now you need to do the same, because this is not as it should be. And, you know, a lot of people might see this as not a big deal, but it is. It really is. Especially in a moment right now where, why do you want to be playing Bloodborne when there's all these other games out? What is it bringing you back to Bloodborne? Those gems could have been the thing, you know? There was some bogus patch notes that people were putting on the online and all the hysteria was going, and the singularity of people being like, oh, you can get 40% fucking blood gems, nah. You know, they've changed these movesets, they've made this easier, they've made that harder, and all this other bullshit that people were saying, and it was all nonsense. But do you know the reason that existed? Was because Sony didn't articulate correct patch notes. If they would have given us 100% transparent fix list of what they did, we would know. And then nobody'd be like, oh, 40% gems, and then some guy spends a fucking week in a Chalice dungeon trying to farm a gem that doesn't exist. And as much as it's hilarious that he did that, but that guy could be you, or me. I don't want to be that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy. It's just frustrating when there's no transparency, and when something doesn't work and it doesn't get fixed immediately. I appreciate patches cost money, but how does that error exist in the first place? Who fucked that up? That's who I'd like to know. But this is Kos. He has the Hans Zimmer soundtrack. I absolutely adore the music to this fight. I think the first phase of this encounter is really fun, really interesting. I really enjoyed learning it. I think the second phase is absolutely horrendous. So what's the strategy? The first strategy is simple. I'm going to watch his attack, and I'm going to punish it with parries. I'm not going to do anything that I'm not comfortable in parrying, so just there you can sight parry the first hit, you can sight parry the second, but I don't have the timing confidently enough to do that, so instead, I'm not going to do that. I'm also using Beast Blood Pellets to squeeze out a little bit of damage. I should have parried that, because I'm getting more used to that attack now. And this boss is so weird, dude. He's way faster than he has any right to be. He's got wicked range. And then his second phase, how does he get any different? Well, he gets faster and has even more range. You know, how is that an evolution? I just don't understand it. It's very strange. But he gets a big hit on me then. The good news is, if you have Blood Rapture in this first phase, whenever you use it, you get a full heal. There's something wrong with the game, and I don't exactly know what it is, but it magnifies blood healing. The second phase doesn't, though, which I find to be quite strange. So it's almost like it's intentional to have it during the first phase if he doesn't do that on the second. That means he's transforming. This is when shit gets bizarre. So I build some Beast Blood on him, and then I try and get away from his massive hits. So this dude is going to be jumping full screen and doing random things. Watch for what he does, and either get away from it, get behind him and backstab him, or get a couple of hits in and get the hell out of dodge. If you get a stagger, or you know what he's doing, exploit it. Right now, I'm getting a really good pattern because he's both jumping and he's throwing the ballsack grapefruit stuff. So just get away from it, dodge the hit, and then attack. And I took massive damage then. Look at that, 99% of my bar in that weird sweeping hit, and that could have finished me off. That was lucky. So now it's him or me, and I stunned that with the gun. You can't seem to riposte that. I don't know if it's just me and I haven't learnt the timing yet, but you can stun it, and then you can use that as an opportunity to do a charged R2. However, if I'd have done that with this gun at the moment, I think I would have shot it, so it wasn't a good idea. But that right there, guys, is the Orphan of Kos. That is the DLC done on a level 66 build, which is very close to what the developers intended, and it is definitely possible, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I just think if you're going through that your first time, I don't recommend doing it at that level, because I think you have to have a fundamental understanding of just how much you're going to get fucked. And if you don't, you're probably going to have a tough time. And to some people, that's fine. Like, a lot of people confusing my blind playthrough when I'm getting mad and I'm shouting and stuff, that I'm not having a good time. I intentionally put that build the way it was so that that was going to happen, because that is the experience that people have come to expect from my blind playthroughs. They know I'm going to take an unfeasible build into the DLC with stupidly low health. They know I'm going to get shit stomped a lot, and I'm going to get mad, and I'm going to get delirious, and then I'm going to eventually win. That's kind of what those playthroughs are. If I'd have gone to that playthrough with 50 vitality, it wouldn't have been half of the playthrough that it was. And that might have been something you would have preferred to see, but the people who I see commenting are the guys who love the misery. You know, they like to share it, and they've got all kinds of drinking games happening when that happens. And that's kind of what it's about, because these walkthroughs, they're all successes. You know, I might fail occasionally and do silly things, or tell you, like, don't do this, but for the most, you don't see the fails. So the playthroughs for me are all about the fails, and if I can, you know, suffer just a little bit for your entertainment, is that not what it's all about? Because I'm having fun, even though it doesn't sound like I am, and I had a lot of fun making this one. So thank you very much for watching, guys. There will be more Bloodborne content coming. I'm not too sure what it's going to be. I have this idea that I had a while back of going into the Chalice dungeons and doing like a weekly Chalice, which doesn't sound too interesting on the grounds of things. But I think we can have a lot of fun with it because it'll have like live commentary, and I'm getting like an itch to max out a build, to make like a super casual build that has 99 stats, because I've never done it before, and the Chalice dungeons are the perfect opportunity to do that because I can use different weapons every edition, I can fight different bosses, and we're farming gems and things, and it can be gravy. But I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do, so yeah. But thank you for watching. You take care now.